Okay, welcome. All right. Uh, could you please introduce yourself a little bit about whatever you would like to share yourself, your name, how you're a musical genius, whatever you want to mix in there um, would be a fun introduction for people.
All right. My name is Zaili Zamora. I am, what can I say? I'm a professional. I'm a musician. I've been a musician my entire life. Uh, I, the music I perform is Afro-Cuban jazz. I'm a pianist, and I'm really passionate about performance and music and being able to share my story through music. I'm also an educator. Although I was, originally born and raised in Cuba. Right now, I live in Boston, and I teach at Berklee College of Music.
Amazing, amazing. Uh, and you're re-inspiring me to get back on the piano. So you're doing all kinds of stuff here. Uh,
Nice, nice.
what, where were you before you started working with me? Like, what did that look like? Where were you? Where were you or mentally, emotionally, however you want to think about it? Like, where were you kind of before you and I came across each other?
Yeah. So I've always considered myself to be a seeker. That's literally how I describe myself. I'm always looking for the next thing that I can lean upon in order to grow as a person. And I've been in a quest of trying to understand how I relate to others in relationships, be it intimate relationships and friendships, and even, how that plays uh, a role in how I see myself. I've been going through therapy with yet another person way before you, and it's been an incredible journey that allowed me to discover a lot of things. And then I wanted to get a different perspective. And I found you on Instagram. And there was a post that was really revealing for me. So that's what brought me to you.
Okay, so there was a appreciate. So there's a revealing post, and then you've had good success with the therapist. So why? I guess why did you look for help when you came across that? Or are you just like, oh, this post seems interesting. Like maybe there's, as a seeker, maybe there's something to seek here. Like how are you kind of processing it? Like in terms of the why or how you connected with me.
Yeah. There's this new, I'm going to call it new terminology that has been going around with that per se is narcissism. And I've been trying to understand really what narcissism is. And I've been trying to see if I can spot, the people around me and how to deal with it. But also, to a certain degree, I wanted to understand if there's a level of narcissism in me. Um, you had a post regarding sort of losing your voice in certain at certain times in your life when you're dealing with a person who's a narcissist. And I have certainly experienced that many times. So not to put a pin or a label on it, because I think everything is every truth is relative. So this is what really brought me to you. I just wanted to know more and kind of get your insights on it.
What was your initial expectation when you first started get taking the plunge?
My initial expectation was to realize if I knew what a narcissist is, and if I was a narcissist myself. And the what surprised me is that we didn't necessarily, touch upon that subject, but instead we took a nice curve into self-discovery for myself, um, which, you know, completely goes a different road than I expected, but a road that gave me way more insight than I was expecting as well. So I'm thankful for that.
I'm thankful you're thankful. That's good. So you got more. It's a little bit different than what you expected. It sounds like, but still, worthwhile. What hesitations did you have before working with me, or either hesitations with me or hesitations with how I described the process, the breakthrough session, the breakthrough process, whatever I was calling it? Um, what hesitations did you have with either me or anything at all?
None, because that's just who I am. Whenever I make a decision, I dive in, and it's helped me a lot not to have expectations. Um, because that way I can get surprised. Um, I did notice that prime the the first few steps with you were rather slow because obviously you needed to get to know me. And for me, it felt a little repetitive because I had already been doing something similar with my therapist, obviously. But I understood that that's what you needed to do in order to assess. So I just took a deep breath and just, swam those waters. And in that process, I was able to realize that I still needed to reflect upon, challenges that I still go through, that even though they're now on the surface and I'm more aware, I still need to face them. So I realized that that process, that primary, preliminary process was necessary one way or another. So yeah, it was great for me not to have expectations. And I'm glad because I probably would have pushed more on like, no, I need to know more about narcissism. And we didn't really go that way. And it was amazing. So yeah, no expectations whatsoever. And you surpassed it because of that.
What were you able to achieve by us working together?
Yeah. More self-knowledge, and tools that I can use on my own that allow me to exercise more forgiveness and acceptance towards my journey and the people that have been part of my journey. And some of the exercises we went through that allowed me to go through that self forgiveness, forgiving of others, self acceptance of others, kind of gave me a lot of lightness. It allowed me to release a lot of negative emotions, and it just made me feel better. And it was a different perspective from what I had been doing before. So anything we did together, I hold it to heart because I know for sure whenever I need to use this tool once again, it's going to work because it worked already. So, yeah.
And I thought if you're, and we can clip this out if you don't, but like we also had, you're making progress with your physical health goals that we discussed, right? So I will keep it vague because I don't know. And again, we can edit out whatever you don't like. But I recall you making progress on your certain physical health goals that were very important to you. You also kind of sent me a message of like you were going down a negative spiral and you were able to reorient and recalibrate and stop it sort of in its tracks. So there's been frankly a lot of little,
Hmm.
I don't say little, there's been a lot of big examples of different things across your
Yeah.
different goals and stuff. So, and as you know, I always encourage you to, because you're an achiever, so you might overlook like look at all this
Yeah.
progress, look at all these great things. So I appreciate what you shared, and yeah, I wanted to just there's been multiple things that seem to be anyway. So if you agree with that or disagree, feel free to speak now. But that's what I remember as well.
I agree. Yeah.
Um, so in terms of what you tried in the past, like you worked with a therapist, I guess like if you, anything else you want to share in terms of what you've worked on the past, what you've done in the past, and like how was this, what made this different in your mind?
Well, I don't think I would have achieved the same thing unless I had that process with her before. In fact, she would get mad if she hears me say therapist. She calls herself more of a life coach, and recently she's jumped in her title to executive coach. Um, I mean, I was raw and green and completely unaware before I started my sessions with her. And they were tough. I had no idea. I had no clue. I was ice cold. I couldn't open up. I couldn't be vulnerable. So my process with her has been extremely helpful for me to gain the awareness I needed to actually to get to you. I think everything in life, happens for a reason. And both your approach are different in the sense that she brings me home, and I get to find out certain truths that are, oh man, they hurt, but they're necessary and I need to hear it. You, on the other hand, led me through a process that was personal and it used more visualization. Um, I would say even like it was more of a manifestation type of journey with you, and it's mental. Um, yeah, so I would say it was different. The two of you have just completely different approaches, and different um, what's the word? Expertise, different niche. Um, yeah, I think the two of you have been great and complementing each other for my own journey. I will still talk to her, and hopefully I will still continue to talk to you.
And what would you say to someone who's stuck trying to figure out how to break free from a narcissist, if we want to use that label, like break free from an unhealthy dynamic, or trying to start or resume their healing journey? Because a lot of people like you, like, no, I'm not starting my healing journey. I'm continuing it. I've been working with the therapist. I've been doing these things. So nonetheless, like, what would you say to someone who is stuck in some way or really trying to move move their healing journey and everything forward, or someone who was in your shoes when you started, or like what would you say to that person?
That's hard to for me to say because even though, like you say, I did reach a lot of high points during the time that we met. I still feel to a certain degree stuck because I feel like, a lot of the tools that you gave me are still going to be part of an ongoing process. I think everybody's journey is very personal. For me, it turned out it had nothing to do with discovering anything about the narcissist, but a lot about continuing my own process. So who knows if maybe some other people just need to hear this, hey, just work on yourself. Um, I think ultimately it's all about self growth. Um, so it's hard for me to say what I would say to another person because everybody's journey is different. But I can just say for myself that it was great to realize you had way more to offer beyond, dealing with narcissistic people, and had the tools that I can use just to grow and understand how I play, how I come into play if I'm ever dealing with a person like that. And it was more for me than for the other person. And that makes me happy, you know.
Yep, I agree with that. Okay, great. What's next for you?
Continuing the work. I'm already very introspective, so that's not gonna stop. That's just who I am. Continue to use your tools. Hopefully, continuing to see you. Um, and yeah, I don't think I'm gonna stop, reflecting on the work that we did together because it was really helpful.
Oh, thank you. Glad to hear that. That's really does make my day. It's well, I mean, why do anything if it's not helpful? Um, okay. Any parting, you get open question, any parting wisdom, comments, anything at all you would like to share before we wrap up? Anything at all? No is an acceptable answer, but anything else you'd like to add?
Well, you seeing my journey with you, and the time that we spent together, if you had one advice to give for me moving forward, what would you say?
I get to answer the question.
Yes.
Um, that's a fun. These are always fun. These are always different. Um, for you specifically, well, I think I mean, you said a lot of it yourself of like, there's a returning to home, there's a returning to yourself. You have the tools, you're going to keep focusing on your self growth. You have a strong sense of identity. You know, you're introspective. You know, you're a seeker. Um, so, w- so in that sense, I think you're already sort of there. You're already kind of you're already doing the work. You're already like in forward motion. You're creating positive momentum. So certainly continue what's working, right? You have certain physical health goals. I'm keeping it vague. You have certain health goals that you are making progress on. So some of it is tempering your achiever brain with like, no, you continue to show up, you continue to get the results, and reflect and appreciate that progress that you're making. So long way of saying continue the good work that you're doing, and then for any remaining piece, there's still like there's still that extra piece of maybe it's a leap of faith, or maybe it's a slightly deeper,
Mhm.
um, maybe it's a big decision that you already know you need to make, but it's just cultivating that courage and that faith, or whatever you want to say, to like, okay, I gotta just get that extra 10-20%, whether it's with this relationship that I have with this person or whatever it is. Like, you're so close and it's like crossing that chasm. um, and you might already know what that needs to look like, but it can be like, okay, now I got to do it and feel the fear, embrace the courage that I have that it's going to take. So that's my off the cuff answer: is continue to do the work that's already getting you results. We set a specific objective for physical health. In your case, you are making progress. You are like, we have clear ways of showing that you are making progress. So keep doing what's working. Kind of a boring answer. So the more interesting answer, on top of continue to get the results you're already getting by putting in the work, um, is, yeah, that last big scary decision, that last big, how do I get over this thing? And I'm keeping your stuff big because I don't want to share your stuff, but it's like those last big hurdles. It's like it might need to cultivate more, faith or courage, or something. And like, you'll have people like me to support you through that. So maybe that's the third answer. Whether it's me or anyone else, I would say, whether it's me or anyone else, like, make sure you find the right people, the right support, because it's a lot. This human experience is a lot.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so that's what is how do you feel about like,
Yeah.
what yeah.
I agree. It makes sense. I mean, you're already saying something that have I completely agree with you. So you're just reinforcing that thought in my mind already. So thank you for that.
Okay, thank you for giving me an opportunity to see what I came up with. All right. Well, great. I appreciate you doing this. And yeah, thank you so much. I look forward to continuing to work with you, and I will just wrap it here. But thanks so much for doing this. It's really helpful.
Thank you. Thank you.